Alright guys, for your App Inventor today, you're going to be starting a new file called QuizMe. So I'm going to come up here to Projects, Start New Project, calling it QuizMe, hitting OK. I wait a minute, it loads the new game, immediately switch to tablet size, and leave that on Android. And what you need to do first is go to our Canvas page. And on our Canvas page for today, you have 4 pictures. We need to get these just like we did the mole. So I'm on a PC right now, so I right-click Save Image. You're on an iPad, so you're just going to hold your finger down and do Save Image that way. Back in App Inventor, now that I have my 4 pictures, I'm going to upload the files. They are on my desktop. So there's Braden. I'm going to upload Larson, Nolan Ryan, and Cy Young. So there's my 4 files uploaded. Got my 4 pictures. Okay, you're going to have to follow along pretty quick. Feel free to pause whenever you need, but you need to build your designer just like I do. So the first thing that we're going to do on our screen 1 is drag in an image. Image is in user interface, drag and drop it here. I want it to take up the majority of my screen. So my height is going to be, say, 60%. My width is going to be 95%. Okay, so now I have space down here I can work with. Next thing I want to put in there is my question label. Since this is going to be a quiz game, we'll show a picture here, we'll ask a question. So I'm going to bring in label, and I'm going to rename that. And I'm going to rename it question label. Then I'm going to need a horizontal arrangement. So I'm going to come down to my layout, horizontal arrangement. It's going underneath my text for label 1. So my horizontal arrangement, and I'm going to want that one to go kind of far across my page. So my width, I'm going to move to like 80%, say. And then inside my horizontal arrangement, I need a label, and this is going to be my answer prompt. So I'm going to go back up to user interface, drag in a label, rename it answer prompt label. And then right next to that, I need a space where someone can actually type their answer. This is going to be the first time we've used it. We're looking for the text box, which is kind of near the bottom in the user interface. Drag and drop that. Instead of naming it text box, I'm going to label it answer text. Click OK. So far, image, question label, just on screen 1. Inside a horizontal arrangement, the answer prompt, the answer label. Now, underneath that, I need a right or wrong label where we're going to write code that App Inventor will pop up on the screen whether the answer is right or wrong. That is not going in my horizontal arrangement. I want it underneath. So I'm going to rename that one. Right, wrong label. And remember, if you don't name things like I do, it's not going to look the same in your code. And then underneath my right, wrong label, I need another horizontal arrangement. So I'm going to go to layout, horizontal arrangement. That one's going to be the width of, say, 80%. And inside that horizontal arrangement, I need 2 buttons. So back to user interface, button, button. My first button inside that horizontal arrangement, I'm going to rename to answer, button. My second one, I'm going to rename the component to be my next button. So double check before you move on that your components look like mine, including these little indents, because that tells you they're in the right spot on the screen. Make sure your things are named like mine. Then we're going to make sure that none of these say text for labels or text for buttons, because that's kind of silly. This first text for label 1, that's going to become just the word question. My next one, instead of text for label 1, is going to become enter answer. My answer text, I don't have to put anything. Where it says right, wrong label, I'm going to change that to say correct, incorrect. The answer button is going to say, of course, submit. And my next button is going to say next. This is a great time to pause and look to make sure your components look just like mine and that your screen looks just like mine. Last thing I'm going to do, on my image, I'm going to set my picture to be Larson, because that's the one I want to start with. So I'm going to choose Larson from here, click OK, and now I have a picture of Don Larson on this screen. Next thing we're going to do is go into our blocks, and we have to make a couple of variables. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a global variable. I'll zoom this in a little. My first global variable is going to be named question list. Okay, then I'm going to need another one that says answer list. Since we're making a quiz game, we're going to have to tell App Inventor what the questions are and what the answers are. So I've got my question list variable, I've got my answer list variable. All right, next, we need to make a list because we want it to choose from specific questions and answers. So under my lists, under blocks, I'm going to pull out the second one down, which is make a list. And I'm going to put one of those on each of my globals. So they're looking the same right now, a question list and an answer list. Now my question list is based on the baseball players I chose. For that, I need a text box. So I'm going to grab text box. And my first question is going to be, who pitched a perfect game in the World Series? Okay, my second question is going to be, who pitched the first perfect game ever in 2010? I need two more questions, so I hit this little gear right here, and I drag two more items into my list, and you can see when I drag them in, it adds them down here. Add a couple more texts. My third question is going to be, who pitched the first perfect game of the modern era? Okay, now for my answer list, we're going to leave that fourth question blank right now. For my answer list, I'm going to put 3 text boxes in there. So 1, 2, and add another one with my little gear. And my first answer is going to be Don Larson. My second answer is going to be Dallas Braden. And my third one is going to be Cy Young. Next thing we need to do is to create a variable for our question index. We're going to call it current question index. So under variables, I'm going to initialize another one. I like to keep my codes together. I'll go right underneath. This variable is going to be called current question index. So the reason we create this is so that we can tell App Inventor which question it's actually going to pick. So we're going to do current question index. And then we'll put in a math block that says 1. Okay, so the current question index is number 1. That's the first question. And that's probably a lot for today. So I'm going to end this video here, and we will pick up another video if you get done with that one.